Crypto projects are created to solve problems, right? And one of the biggest problems now is the inefficient systems in place for cross-border transactions. These transactions take forever and are associated with high fees. This is where Ripple comes in. Today, we are going to take a closer look at the Ripple ecosystem and its products, including its native token, XRP. Stick till the end to find out about the long legal battle between Ripple and the US Securities and Exchange Commission. Alright, let's get started. You'll commonly hear people refer to XRP as Ripple. While there's no issue with that, they are two very different things. So before we go any further in the video, it is important to know the difference between XRP, Ripple, and RippleNet. It all starts with Ripple, which is a for-profit company that controls RippleNet, the actual payment network. Then there's XRP, the native cryptocurrency for the Ripple ecosystem. Let's start with the cryptocurrency. What is XRP and how does it work? Just like Bitcoin runs its own blockchain network, XRP runs its own ledger, known as the XRP ledger, to store transaction details. Though to validate transactions, RippleNet does not utilize proof of work like Ethereum or Bitcoin, or even proof of stake like Solana. Instead, the XRP ledger requires trusted validator nodes to reach consensus and maintain the transaction ledger roughly every 3 to 5 seconds. These trusted nodes are collectively called the Unique Node List, or UNL. At the time of making this video, there are over 150 validators active on the ledger. This list is curated by Ripple based on aspects such as past performance, verified identity, and secure IT policies. However, this model carries a certain level of risk since not all validators carry the same level of trust and performance. Okay, if XRP can't be mined, then how are new tokens created? Well, the answer is that they don't need to be created. The entire supply of 100 billion XRP was already pre-mined by the founders. 80 billion of these tokens were allocated to Ripple, and the remaining 20 billion went to the founders, though a part of the 80 billion tokens is occasionally sold to the secondary market. Apart from the consensus mechanisms used, there are other major differences between Bitcoin and Ripple's XRP. The first one is that XRP is faster, cheaper, and energy efficient. This is closely related to how transactions are validated. Therefore, due to XRP's consensus mechanism, its transactions are much quicker, cheaper, and consume minimal energy. Bitcoin, on the other hand, takes up to 10 minutes to process transactions. Bitcoin has also been facing criticism because of the amount of energy it uses and its negative impact on the environment. The other difference between the two has something to do with decentralization. As much as the XRP cryptocurrency is decentralized, it's still tied to Ripple, which is a private for-profit company. Also, there is another element of centralization in Ripple's network structure, since there are only 150 validators. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is completely decentralized on all fronts. Alright, history time. Let's look at how Ripple came to what we know now. And for this, we'll have to go back to 2004. Launched a peer-to-peer financial network known as RipplePay. Basically, the goal was to remove the needs of banks by capitalizing on relations between network participants. Let's take an example. Say Jake, who's friends with Jamie, needs some cash for his car business. Jamie, on the other hand, is friends with Ruth, who has some money at her disposal. The idea was for Jamie to act as a third party whenever Jake wanted to transact with another participant trusted by Jamie, in this case, Ruth. This trust chain can get even longer, such that Jake can borrow money from a friend of a friend of a friend. You get the point. You can already see a familiar model from this system, right? That is, the peer-to-peer concept of cryptocurrencies. Even Satoshi Nakamoto, the anonymous creator of Bitcoin, mentioned it once in an email. Alright, fast forward to 2011. Jed McCaleb, a programmer, started developing the XRP cryptocurrency and its blockchain. Remember Fugar, the founder of RipplePay? Well, he was approached by Jed a year later, who had already recruited a team and found some investors. Jed wanted to use the RipplePay network, and Fugar accepted to hand over the project. In the same year, they launched the company and the XRP cryptocurrency. The company was originally called NuCoin before changing the name to OpenCoin and then later to Ripple. What is Ripple exactly? You know how Bitcoin's goal is to disrupt the current traditional banking system? Ripple is different in that it has its focuses on integrating with and improving the current system. Currently, cross-border payments take about 3 days to even a whole week. This is because so many entities are involved in a single transaction, and the transaction might need to go through intermediaries in different countries before getting to the final destination. This is usually through a payment system used by financial institutions such as the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, or SWIFT in short. So basically, Ripple hopes to replace SWIFT. What does Ripple bring to the table? Well, there are 2 challenges that Ripple addresses right off the bat: speed and cost of transactions. The average transaction in Ripple is processed in 3 to 5 seconds, while the transaction fee is 0.00001 XRP, which is less than a fraction of a cent. The other benefit is that financial institutions can use XRP as a bridge currency instead of using other fiat currencies, which allows them to trade currencies at a lower cost. It's similar to the role the US dollar plays in the international markets. This comes in handy for thinly traded currencies. For example, a conversion between Ugandan shillings and Japanese yen would be routed through XRP. However, Ripple has a couple of drawbacks. As much as its consensus protocol is faster and more efficient, it's arguably less secure than other methods of processing crypto transactions. Also, Ripple is not wholly decentralized. This gives the organization a lot of control. For one, a large majority of XRP is held by Ripple, which means the token's circulating supply and price can easily be manipulated. Like we promised, let's look at Ripple versus the US Securities and Exchange Commission. Okay, what is the SEC in the first place? Simply put, it is a government agency in charge of the securities industry in the United States. The whole saga started in 2020 when the SEC filed a lawsuit against Ripple and its 2 executives. This came as a shock to Ripple and the whole XRP community. As per the SEC, XRP is classifiable as a security because it financed Ripple's platform. So the SEC alleges that $1.3 billion of XRP was transferred as securities without registering with a government agency. Ripple, however, continues to counter these claims, arguing that XRP should be treated as a virtual currency rather than as an investment contract like a stock. This has led to an ongoing legal battle that has lasted over 15 months and is yet to be resolved to date. All in all, Ripple's potential is obvious to see, and it may reach its ambitious goal of replacing the inefficient international money transfer system currently in place. It has withstood legal battles well until this point, while simultaneously continuing to add high-level institutions to work with RippleNet. But keep in mind that XRP is like any other cryptocurrency out there, hence it is not immune to volatility. What are your thoughts on Ripple? Do you believe it can replace the current system in place? Let us know in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, and follow us on all our socials for future alpha. See ya!